You have to start by believing in yourself and knowing that you will become wealthy. If you're sitting there every single morning telling yourself that you're never going to be able to be financially free, that you're never going to be able to retire, you're right. I can't convince you otherwise. I cannot change the way that you feel about yourself, but until you change the way you feel about yourself, it doesn't matter what you're doing here. You have to have the right mindset before you can become wealthy, because if you have a broke mindset, you will never be able to have a wealthy bank account. You are wealthy in your mind before you're wealthy in your bank account, so you have to understand that if you are not able to develop this, none of this matters. And if you're struggling here, go out and read some self-development books. Go out and understand how you can develop your mindset. All success starts with your mindset, which is why I call myself the minority mindset, because you have to be able to think differently than the majority of people, and this can be hard when you're constantly around toxic people, when you're constantly around the toxic, broke mindset. So you got to get away from that, and you need to start absorbing some positivity. That way you can understand how you can actually become wealthy yourself. The second thing that you have to understand here when it comes to your mindset is you got to make sure that you're on the right page with your mindset. So if you're married, if you have a spouse, you need to make sure that you two are on the same page, because now you're going to start a brand new financial journey towards wealth, and you cannot do it alone, or you don't want to do it alone. It's going to be a whole lot easier if you and your spouse are on the same page. So if you have a husband, you have a wife, whatever, you got to talk to your partner and you got to figure this out. You need to make sure that you're on the same page, because you're going to have to make sacrifices and you're going to have to put in work, and it's going to be a lot easier if you two are on the same page. And that also means that if you have kids, you got to make sure that they're on the same page as you, because a lot of times mommy and daddy don't want to not give their kids something. If your kids' friends all have the newest bicycle, if your kids' friends all have the newest toys, you don't want to be that person who is not giving their kid the thing that they want. Well, if you are trying to become wealthy, all these little expenses are going to add up, and you have to understand what is your biggest goal right now. If your number one goal right now is to become wealthy, you need to make sure that you are all on the same page as a family. That way you can take care of yourself, because if you don't, you see this all the time when it comes to college. You want to pay for your kids' college. You don't want them to go into student loans, and so you sacrifice your retirement in order to fund your kids' college education. Well, what's going to happen if you do that? They're still probably going to have some student loans, and now they finally graduate college, and now it's time for you to start thinking about retirement, and you have no money saved for retirement. So now your kid might not have all the student loans, but they have to pay for you to retire, and now they're going to be stuck paying for you to retire, so it's still another financial burden on them, or they just forget about you, and now you're stuck trying to figure out how you're going to eat. So before I jump into the financial things, let me just end the mindset part by saying this. While this is going to be hard, it does not mean it's impossible. There are dozens of people that did not see any sort of success until they started hitting their 40s, which was when they started to make a change for their life, so it is not impossible. There are dozens of people who have hit multi-millionaire status, even though they didn't start until their 40s or later. So you are not alone. It is possible, but it is going to be difficult. So you need to understand that. But if you're willing to go for the ride, if you're willing to put in the work, well, let's jump into number 2. The second step out of 5, and your first real financial step, if you want to become wealthy, is you have to start by creating a financial base. The easiest way to understand this is to think about building a home. If you want to build a home, you got to start by digging the foundation. If you do not have a strong foundation, well, now your house is going to be wobbly and it can topple over. The bigger the home you want to build, the bigger the building you want to build, the deeper your foundation needs to be. So you need to start by building a strong base, and what that means financially is you got to start by putting some money aside for savings, and you need to pay down your high interest debt, and you need to do this as fast as humanly possible. If you don't have any savings in the bank, the very first thing you got to do before you do anything else is put a couple $1,000s aside in a bank account that you can easily access for your savings. This is not money you want to have in a stock market account. This is not money you want to have in cryptocurrency. This is not money you want to have somewhere else. This is something you want to keep in the bank that you can easily access, and this is only money that you have for emergencies. Now I know saving money can be weird when you're in an environment where inflation is skyrocketing, but the whole idea of saving money should not be to become wealthy. We got to get this out of our minds, because a lot of us grew up with the mindset that saving is how you become wealthy. Save, save, save. But that's a big, fat lie. That's how I grew up. I grew up in a traditional Indian house, and the traditional Indian mindset is save first. There's a joke that I like to make, that Indian people make $1 to spend 20 cents, while American people make $1 to spend $2 through the help of credit cards and lines of credit. Indian people will make $1 and save 80 cents. That way they can just put this money in the bank thinking that the saving is going to make them wealthy. Well, American people love the idea of spending, so now they make $1 and they're going to stretch it. Thanks to the help of credit cards and lines of credit, that way they can go out and buy more stuff. Now, neither of these are right. You should not be going out and spending more money than you have to buy a whole bunch of liabilities, and you also shouldn't just be saving all of your money because that savings isn't doing anything. You should be saving your money for 3 reasons and 3 reasons only. You should save your money for a financial emergency, you should save your money for investments, and you should save your money to buy big and more expensive things. That's it. If it doesn't fall into one of these 3 categories, you should not keep saving your money. So when it comes to your actual savings, you don't want to save more than a year's worth of expenses. Typically, you want to be saving somewhere between 3 months and 6 to 9 months worth of expenses. But if you really don't like risk and you really can't sleep at night knowing that all of your money is invested or a big chunk of your money is invested, then fine, save up to 1 year's worth of expenses, but do not save more than that in your emergency fund because that cash is now just being eaten away by inflation. So you save somewhere between 3 months and 12 months worth of expenses, and you do not want to save anything more than that in your emergency savings. But after you have a little bit of savings put aside, so you put aside a couple $1,000s, the next thing you got to do before you do anything else is you have to pay down your high interest debts. So this is your credit card debt, this is your 0% interest rate loans that are now charging you 15% because you didn't pay it off in time. These are your payday loans and any other high interest debts. These are things that are skinning you alive. Back not that long ago, a high interest debt was considered 10% or more. Nowadays, even something less than 10% could be considered a high interest debt. But in general, if it's like a credit card loan, the 0% APR that expired, or a payday loan, these are the loans, this is the debt that you have to pay off before you do anything else, because there's no point for you to try to grow your money at 7 to 10% a year in the market if you got to turn around and pay 15% to your credit card or to your bank. You have to save a little bit of money, and then you got to pay down this high interest debt as fast as humanly possible. Now, if you're a little bit older and you're watching this and you're trying to figure out how do you do that fast, well, you've probably accumulated a whole bunch of crap over the years. Well, this is the time to start selling that crap. Just look around you. Look around your room, look around your house. What is all that stuff that's just collecting dust that's not doing anything for you? Now you want to take that crap, sell it, convert it into cash. So now you turn your crap into cash, take this cash and start paying down your debt. Second thing you want to do is you got to start downsizing. This is going to become painful. First thing you do is you downsize your car. You're driving the BMW. Well, now you want to take that BMW, convert it into a Toyota Camry. I know this is not fun. Nobody wants to go from a BMW to a Toyota, but this is one of those things that is very painful in the beginning, but it will save you so much money because both your Toyota and your BMW are going to take you to work just fine, but your Toyota is going to save you a whole lot more money than your BMW. So now you downsize your car, that way you can save a lot more cash, and then you take this cash to pay down your high interest debt, and now you might want to consider downsizing on your home too. If you have a home that's stretching you too thin, this might be time for you to downsize. Maybe you own your home that you live in right now. But just because you own your home on paper doesn't mean you own your home. Right now, if you're struggling here, you don't own your home. Your home owns you. So if you're struggling with affording your home, maybe you downsize in your home. Maybe you move to renting. Because when you own your home, not only do you have to pay for the mortgage, you have to pay for the taxes, you have to pay for all the repairs too. You have to pay for anything that goes wrong in the home, and home ownership can be very expensive. Now, I know everybody in America likes to talk about how home ownership is the pinnacle of building generational wealth. But that's not the case. There's so many other ways for you to become wealthy, and you don't have to own a home to build generational wealth. And the first thing you need to do right now is you got to build this. You're trying to figure out how to build the generational wealth over here, but you haven't done this yet. So maybe owning a home is the right thing to do, but maybe not in this stage of life. So what you need to do right now is you got to get as much cash as possible to pay down this high interest debt. Another tip that you can do right here to find some extra cash to help pay down this debt is to negotiate your bills lower. So my family is from a state in India called Punjab, and the interesting thing about India is you negotiate the price of everything. You go walk down the street and you want to buy, you want to buy some apples, you're going to negotiate the price of the apples from the street vendor. Well, in America, you don't really negotiate things. The only thing you negotiate the price on is, well, the price of your home and maybe the price of your car. That's it. But there's a lot more things that you can negotiate on if you just ask. So the first thing I want you to do is take all of your utility bills. Take your phone bill, your internet bill, any other utility service subscription that you have, call them up. Ask them for a discount. Now, this might be hard to do if you don't have a lot of experience with that, but the worst thing that they can say is no. And if you shop around and you see that their competitors are charging less than what you're paying right now, well, then you can use that as leverage, because no company wants to lose a good paying customer or a good paying subscriber to their competitor just based on price, because it is harder and more expensive for them to go out and get another customer. So you need to use it to your advantage. But the one thing that you want to do here, the best tip that I can give you when it comes to negotiating your bills lower, is just to be nice to the customer service rep. These customer service reps are being yelled at all day and night long. So if you're nice to them, they'll be nice to your wallet. If you enjoyed this clip and you want to continue your financial education journey, I have another video that I think you'll love. All you got to do is click that button right over there. And for
Let's get this money, y'all. Assets only, no liabilities.